she basically has kicked up a massive fuss because she was told off for bringing her baby into Parliament. And we can see that this is so important that apparently the BBC and lots of different news outlets seem to think that this is newsworthy. So you might be asking, why on earth are you covering it then, Josh, if it's so kind of incidental? And there is a good reason for this, because it is a good kind of insight into the psychology of people in Labour and what goes through their mind, and also their...
When we say people in Labour, we mean people in the Labour Party. Not
literally in Labour.
With a baby. We don't actually.
I'd be more willing to forgive that if they actually went into Labour.
Yeah, honestly, so would I. So just to give us some background quickly, Stella Creasy is a Labour MP who's a radical feminist, and she famously came out and said, "Look, feminism isn't about helping women. Feminism is about power." I mean, literally,
that's very cynical, isn't it?
It was a total mask-off moment where it's like, no, just grasping for power. It's like, right, okay, well, now I don't want you to have any. But sorry, carry on.
So, I'm reading directly from the BBC article here. An MP has said it has to be possible for politics and parenting to mix after being told she cannot sit in the Commons with her 3-month-old son. And, of course, it's not as if any other person in Parliament isn't a parent.
Yes.
I think this is something that every single other person in Parliament, all 649 of them, are able to manage, and apparently she cannot. So Labour's Stella Creasy was informed it was against the rules to bring a child to a debate at Westminster Hall after doing so on Tuesday. Speaker Sir Lindsay Hoyle has asked a committee of MPs to review the rules, which seems a little bit much, in my opinion.
What's wrong with the rules? No children in Parliament. That seems like a sensible rule.
I mean, they already behave like children often enough. We don't need any more encouragement.
Yeah, we don't need literal children.
So Miss Creasy said that she was pleased to hear this, as rules meant that she could not be in the chamber for his statement. Miss Creasy told the BBC she had regularly taken her son, whom she is breastfeeding, and before him her daughter, into the Commons chamber. But after appearing with her son at the adjoining Westminster Hall on Tuesday, she received an email from the private secretary to the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, which is a really cool title, Dame Eleanor Liang, I don't know how to pronounce that second name, doesn't matter, which said this was not in line with recently published rules on behaviour and courtesies. And
so she's literally sat there going, breastfeeding her child, going, order, I have an objection to this statement, Mr. Speaker. Like, come on.
I don't know whether she was literally breastfeeding a child. I think it was asleep, but even so, you don't want a baby making a racket in a place that is meant to rule the country.
I mean, a baby isn't exactly going to be able to sleep in the House of Parliament either.
Well, I mean, at least take it to the House of Lords, and they seem to do all right.
yeah, exactly.
But
right, okay.
The Deputy Prime Minister, Dominic Raab, said he had a lot of sympathy for Miss Creasy. Thanks,
Why?
Conservatives.
Rob, you were like a strident anti-feminist a couple of years ago, and you were like, no, these feminists are wrong, and they're basically a bunch of sexists. Don't have sympathy for one of their lead cheerleaders.
Yeah, I don't know why he said this, but apparently Conservatives love shooting themselves in the foot. And he said politicians needed to make sure our profession is brought into the modern world so that parents can juggle the jobs they do with the family time they need.
Why can't she take maternity leave?
Well, we'll get onto that in a second.
Right, okay.
She's had basically the entire parliamentary system bend over backwards for her, and she's still not happy for some reason.
Why does she deserve that?
Also, to make matters worse, not just the Deputy Prime Minister, but a spokesperson for Boris Johnson himself said they wanted to see further improvements on making Parliament a family-friendly environment.
Why?
It's just ridiculous,
Why does
isn't it?
Parliament need to be a family-friendly environment?
And surprisingly, Keir Starmer actually had the most reasonable comment here. He just said, it says here, Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer's spokesperson said it would be inappropriate to comment while the Procedure Committee considers the matter. So he's just said, yeah, I'm not really interested. It's for the Commons to decide,
But
which
the fact
is
that he didn't come out and start, thumping the table on feminist issues is
quite telling, isn't it? Yeah, it's interesting.
Keir Starmer's becoming the most based person in Parliament. I can't believe it.
Weirdest turn of events so far.
God damn it.
So it's also worth pointing out, I haven't got an article to show this, but she went to a Spectator Parliamentarian of the Year Awards, amazing she even had to attend, which finished at 11 p.m. last Wednesday.
Oh, yeah?
With her baby. So she was out at some award ceremony
Yeah.
until 11 o'clock at night.
She's using this as a political tool. Her baby.
Well,
is a
of
political
course,
tool.
yeah.
That-
That's
like-
the entire point of me
Yeah.
covering this.
Right.
That people in the Labour Party seem to be willing to use their own children as political props to push their own agenda. And it all makes sense when her approach to feminism is just power.
I love the way she said that. My well-behaved 3-month-old baby. It's like,
There's no
When they're-
such thing.
yeah, when they're 3, like well-behaved implies they could be not well-behaved because a 3-month-old can't do anything. Like they're incapable
Yeah.
of moving under their own power.
Well, apparently her children are just so great that at 3 months old, they're already completely able to have self-control.
Yeah.
Can't cry.
Worthy of being in Parliament instantly.
Apparently, yeah. Not even elected and already worthy.
God damn it. Okay.
So, as you alluded to, there's this tweet here where she's whinging about the letter that she received, which was relatively polite, actually. John, if you could scroll down a little bit, we can see the actual letter. It just says, "We've been made aware that you were accompanied by your baby in Westminster Hall earlier today. I just wanted to make you aware that the recently published rules of behaviour and courtesies in the House of Commons states you should not take a seat in the chamber when accompanied by a child. I'd like to draw your attention to the fact, and it also applies to debates within Westminster Hall. Please get in touch whether you'd like to discuss this further." So,
Instead, she went to the media.
yeah, well, it seems very convenient, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That she did this.
Yeah, but
So-
instead she made a big public stink about it. But no, that seems to be a totally reasonable rule. You shouldn't be in the chamber when you're accompanied by a child.
Yes,
Fine.
entirely obvious.
Totally reasonable.
No reason to kick up a fuss. And Scott Benton, who is a Conservative MP, pointed out the common sense view, as I see it. Parents who get paid a fraction of what you do pay for childcare and juggle responsibilities so they can go to work. What makes you so special?
Yes, good
That's exactly
question.
how I'd
Good
put it.
question. Well, that's a great point. As in, you get 80 grand a year, Stella, and you know, I don't know how much your husband makes, but on 80 grand a year, you can certainly afford childcare.
Well, it's worth pointing out that she doesn't have a husband because she's in the Labour Party.
Okay, yep. I should have guessed. Should kind of walked into
She
that,
has a
didn't I?
partner, but they are not married. So,
Of course, I walked into that.
so I wanted to talk about what makes her so special. Well,
okay.
she's had a special rule kind of put in especially for her. So Stella Creasy was the UK's first locum MP to cover maternity leave. So
What does that mean?
What does this mean? Yeah. So she had a child relatively recently. This article's from October 2019. And she is the first MP
Well, hang
to...
on a second. So she's had another child then?
Yeah,
because
she's-
this child will be 2 years old now. And
Yeah.
her current baby's 3 months old. Right, okay. So
So
she's...
someone's looking after that 2-year-old, but not this.
Yeah. Well, yes. Where's the 2? The 2-year-old isn't in school yet, you know. So where's the 2-year-old?
Well,
Stella,
that's mysteriously
Yeah.
gone by the wayside.
you're pumping out children out of wedlock, and this 2-year-old just disappeared into thin air. Got another 3-month-old. Weird. Carry on. Sorry.
So this deal that she has struck means that she is the first MP to hire a surrogate MP to manage her constituency for her. An advert says the role has an annual salary of £50,000 pro rata and is
really?
rooted in
That's generous of Stella to
Woolston.
give up 50 grand of her own wages to
Well-
hire somewhere else. Oh, yeah, I knew you were going to say that.
I'll get onto that.
Sorry.
The locum MP will cover constituency work over 7 months and will not sit in the Commons or vote. So
Right,
it's just
okay.
her representative in her constituency. IPSA, the body which regulates MPs' pay, says it will provide extra funding for all MPs' offices to cover absences.
Oh, that's generous of them.
So it's actually
this is
paid
my
for,
our money, though.
paid for by the taxpayer.
God damn it.
Not only that, but she also gets paid in full for her leave as well. So the taxpayer gets to cover this.
So she's just a massive burden on the taxpayer.
Yes.
I'm not making any comment about women in politics. I'm not doing it. I know. I can't see the chat, but I know that's what you're thinking, chat. I'm not doing it. Not saying a thing. Zip.
I might have to say it for you in a minute. But of course, most people can't actually use taxpayers' money to have someone cover for them at work whilst they're receiving their full salary sat at home.
Yeah, weirdly,
So-
most people don't get that privilege.
and she's there whinging about how disadvantaged she is.
Oh, God, give over.
I know. And to
Disadvantage.
to use
my
the words of
arse.
one of her idols, Greta Thunberg, how dare you? Of course, she has the nerve to complain about receiving all this taxpayer money. And
She's like, what are you complaining about?
And to use the words of other left-wingers, check your privilege. So it's also worth pointing out that the House of Commons has a nursery.
Oh, of course it does.
And it's publicly
That's
available.
What the other MPs do. Yeah.
It has information about how much it costs because it's not covered by their expenses. So for 5 days, a child under 2 years old costs £295 for 5 days, which would be her working week, I would imagine. So the basic annual salary for an MP as of the 1st of April 2020 is £81,932 plus expenses. So even if she paid...
And just to be clear, Labour MPs claim a huge amount of expenses.
Oh, yes, they love their expenses.
Yeah, the Conservatives actually claim a surprisingly small number of expenses, especially when compared to, like, Jess Phillips one year claimed £200,000 worth.
Blimey. How does she even spend that? What is she doing?
That's a great question.
Driving around in a gold-plated limo drinking champagne all the time.
We should go through it sometime, but Labour is notorious for claiming literally hundreds of thousands of pounds in expenses.
So with her salary and the cost that we've established, even if she paid for childcare 5 days a week, every week of the year, it would be £15,000, 340. So
she still has 65 grand left over.
Yes.
To struggle on.
And there's the obvious fact that she isn't in Parliament every week,
obviously
5 days a week, because she's in Labour. She slacks off, of course. So yes, obviously she can afford this, but her excuse, which I suppose is relatively reasonable, is that the baby is still too young to use it yet at 13 weeks old.
Okay.
I can kind of sympathise with.
If only working women got maternity leave.
Yeah,
if only she could get some sort of surrogate MP that was paid 50 grand a year by the taxpayer to take over her duties while she was at home enjoying being a mother. I mean, oh my God, you've got every opportunity here, and yet your baby is still in the Parliament and you're still kicking up a fuss. This is not because of any disadvantage on your part, is it, Stella?
The system has done literally everything to accommodate for her.
Yeah, I know. You couldn't ask for more. And yeah, she's like, well, actually...
Never mind the cost of actually running this parliamentary creche, which is used by a very small minority of MPs in the first place.
Unbelievable.
Which is paid for by the taxpayer, the actual running costs, although they do pay a fee which contributes to it. So I also wanted to draw attention to some of the reactions. So here is Alex Phillips from GB News saying, why can't Stella Creasy bring her baby to Parliament?
Because you're not allowed children in there, Alex, you bloody idiots.
They roll out women to win, but then reinforce that women must choose between motherhood and having a career.
Oh, thank you from the Labour Party perspective, Alex. I'm so glad you're occupying a position on GB News.
And saying it's 2021 and women are still excluded from the workplace based on the biological fact that they carry and feed children.
Yes. No, Alex, that's the Labour position of progressives. Are you a progressive? Are you an infiltrator on GB News? Is it left-wing news now?
Cough, cough, controlled opposition.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, embarrassing. She did an interview with someone talking about critical race theory, and she knew nothing about it, and she didn't challenge the critical race theorist at all. And so it was literally this critical race theorist just saying, no, it is good. And she was like, yeah, but does that mean everything's racist? And the critical race theorist was like, yes, it does.
That's so easy to challenge.
I know, and she didn't. She's an embarrassment.
So not only that, but she doubled down, sharing her own tweet, saying, lots of men seem to have opinions on this.
Yeah, well, lots of women seem to have opinions on this as well, Alex, and I'm not interested in them. Be quiet.
And then she has an emoji with some rolling eyes. By 2021, we should have normalised hybrid workspaces with creches, so 50% of the population can reproduce, necessary for the human race.
To reproduce. Like, women don't reproduce asexually,
apparently,
like amoebas.
All women as well in Parliament, apparently, and have jobs, not be treated like a pariah for having the audacity to give birth.
Okay.
So apparently there is no right-wing media in the UK. So allow me to correct this. She's an unmarried member of the Labour Party. Where is her partner?
That's insulting. Unmarried member of the Labour Party. That's
the worst slur. Where is her partner? What is he doing? Why is he not picking up the slack?
Yeah.
Parliament is suffering.
Look after the baby for a bit. You know, he can. Surely there's like, do fathers get paternity leave?
I think so, yeah.
And I'm pretty sure she could be taking a maternity leave anyway. Surely she could hire someone to look after the baby while she... And again, it's just for a couple of hours while she goes into the parliament. She didn't spend all day in the parliament. It's not like an 8-hour, like, sat at a desk or something. There is no excuse for this. No excuse for
It
this.
is also... There is also the fact that it is the
winding
current
up.
year.
Yeah, exactly.
There's nothing stopping a man from looking after a baby. I'm sure all the people whinging
Apart from
about
his
this...
pride.
There's nothing stopping them. So why can he not do it? Well, apparently they're now reinforcing traditional gender roles in saying, well, only Stella can look after her baby. It can't be her partner.
Why should women with babies be in the workplace? Why does that make any sense?
Well,
it's not good for the baby.
It's not like it's a standard applied anywhere else either.
No.
Like if a female police officer turns up and she's got a little baby on her back, it's like, what's going on?
It's 2021.
There's a female
Dear criminals,
firefighter going in, running into a flaming building, baby on the back.
Yeah, female soldiers on the battlefield with their babies. God, this is so dumb.
Oh dear. Anyway, I had some other stuff, but I'm going to skip over that because I think you get the idea by now.
Oh, no, let's go back to that previous one.
Okay.
The Parliament is stuck in the dark ages when it comes to maternity rights. Oh, cry harder.
I should have
Kathy
actually mentioned this.
Newman.
Yeah, Kathy Newman of all people.
So what you're saying is, Kathy, women should be back in the kitchen.
That's actually what I've got in my notes. Well,
Didn't even know.
If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com and sign up to get access to all the premium content we have on the site.
Yeah, we've got absolutely loads of that because we've been doing this for over a year now. So we've got a massive library of content that we're really, really proud of. We've got loads of premium articles, which we have written by our in-house writers and external writers, such as this one by Hugo, which is talking about the great narrative of the World Economic Forum and how it's falling apart. The cracks are becoming visible. And we also have, for silver tier members and above, an audio track read by Jonathan Crow, who's a very, very good speaker, and this makes it easier for you. We also have our regular series, such as Contemplations, like this one, where I debate Josh about whether free will is an illusion or not. I am very firmly on the free will exists side of things, and Josh is wrong, but you can find out why if you go and sign up. We also have the epochs that Bo and I do, which is fantastic. At the moment, we're halfway through, well, 2/3 of the way through the series on Belisarius. Do you know who Belisarius is, Callum?
Go to Reconquered Rome.
Yes, he did. And
Lost it.
It's honestly a genuine tragedy, and it's a really sad tale. And we're just at the apex of his conquests at the moment. But next week, we'll get to enjoy the tragedy of it. It's really sad. But we also do loads of other stuff, like interviews that we did one recently with Philip Tanzer, who's a men's rights activist and conservative activist. And in this second one, we end up talking about the sort of metaphysics of masculinity. What is it you're trying to uphold by being a man? And I think it's important. Lots there to learn. And he's a very interesting thinker anyway. We also have the book club, which is fantastic. We're about to record another one now, but this last one we did was Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince. So if you want to get the most out of these books, you can join us there, because we've done a lot of work studying these. And we also do premium podcasts covering sensitive subjects, such as what happened to the January the 6th rioters. And we do slightly more academic ones, such as this next one about the origins of intersectionality. Where does the term come from? What's the point of it? Well, I went and read everything that Kimberly Crenshaw wrote about it, and, well, it's not good news, frankly.
In addition, you can also follow us on any of the social medias, such as getter.com, so you can follow us there at lotuseaters_com, and also you'll be speaking at the Counter Conference conference.
Yes. Yeah, the Counter Conference at the London O2 on December the 8th.
Yes.
I'm going to be speaking on a panel with Jason Miller, Lawrence Fox, and a few others. It's going to be fantastic, so come down and see us there.
But anyway, if you'd like to get access to all that premium content or follow everything we do, please sign up at lotuseaters.com. Thank you and goodbye.